Alright, hello everyone and welcome to my Excel template. My name is Brody Cook and I created this to help people with their budget and spending. So what it's going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to track your spending, and you'll see that on a couple of the other pages. And it's also going to keep track of your overall expenses and income and let you budget out your money correctly. So what we're doing here is we're just going to go over a quick summary of the functionality of everything, what you enter, how it works, and a couple tips and tricks that you can use in your everyday budgeting life. So what we're going to start off here is the overall budget summary. Now I'm just going to give a quick overlook of this page here because you're going to be able to come back a little bit later once I've explained a few things and understand it better. So what you've got here is you've got, of course, the brand of the school that I did this project for, my name, and the tutorial URL, which I'll put up as soon as this video is done, onto the Excel template itself. You'll have a table of contents here where you can actually click and go to each individual page, and then you'll have a return to summary click here. Alright, so basically on this page, just to give a quick overview before we return in the future, you've got a pie charts, 3 separate ones, which track each of these categories. So you'll have 3 types of expenses: your fixed expenses, variable expenses, which are going to change, your fixed are going to stay the same, and then desires and wants and little miscellaneous extras. And you've got pie charts to determine kind of which one has the biggest category for each thing. So we'll return to that in a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the first month. Now, you can rename each of these months to whatever you want. That functionality isn't directly input, so you're not locked down to just January through June. So you can rename them anything you want, and the associated month 1, month 2, those are just going to stay the same there. So you'll click this and it'll open up your very first month. For me it's January, but as I said, it can be any month for you. So I've put in a little bit of information in all these tabs just for the purposes of time. I know you don't want to sit around watching me put in all the information one after another, but we will do the first month completely except for our incomes and our fixed expenses. So as you can see, I've input these incomes here, and then I've put in the actual income. So this is what you expect to bring in as far as money in the month of January, and this, after it happens, is what you actually ended up making. So for the first little group here of the fixed expenses, you see the expected amounts that you already know. Since they are fixed expenses, they're going to be the exact same. So I went ahead and inputted those as they are, the exact numbers. Now, down here you'll see your variable expenses, and this is where things are going to start to change up a little bit. And the good thing about the template that I've designed here is that it's all intelligent. You can put in one box and it'll show up everywhere else, and it'll kind of autofill all across the board. So, for example, you see that the groceries here has an expected value of $320. That's how much you're budgeting toward groceries for that period of time. Well, obviously under actual it's reading no amount of money in that category because you haven't filled out the spending log that we've put together down here. Now these dates of purchases you can change on your own. It's very simple to do. All you have to do is input the different numbers and it'll autofill all the way down. For the groceries, we have a $320 budget, and right now it's saying we're under budget because we obviously haven't put anything in. So let's try and input some numbers here. So we've got, let's say we're going to do $150 in the first week. We'll have to buy a couple things in the next week, so we'll do $50 there, and then we'll do $150 here. So you'll see now that our monthly total for groceries of that month is $350. These autofill all the way down, and they appear up here as well. So since we went over the $320 that we budgeted towards the grocery amount, it's showing here that we went over budget. Now you can also look over here at the chart and the graph that we put together. So these are all going to be the same. The black bar is what you actually spent, and the purple bar is what you expected to spend on that amount. Over here you can see from the black bar that you spent more than the expected amount. So that's going to autofill all the way across the board every time you input the numbers. So let's go ahead and put some more numbers in here. Let's say that our water bill for this month was $45. For transportation, we spent $20 the first week, $15 the next, 15 again, and then 20 on the last week. For household items, we'll say we bought a few things, maybe $10 for some new towels, or $5 for a new toothbrush, things like that. As far as clothing, we'll say that we spent $8 on a t-shirt, and then $14 on more of a designer t-shirt there. For healthcare, we'll say that we went in for a single appointment, and the appointment costs were $40. And down here, we had to buy a little bit of medicine. It wasn't very expensive, just for, say, a headache medicine or something like that. For the electric bill, we're going to put in an input of, we'll say $85. We'll go with there. On tithing, we'll say we tithe $10 a week. And of course, none of these values have to be put in. They already autofill in to each individual box across the board. For gifts, we bought somebody just a $5 gift, and then an $18 gift here. For leisure items, which leisure items are going to include things that you do and go out. Now, it's close to hobbies, but it's not exactly the same. So leisure items are going to be more of things that you want to buy, but you don't need. Hobbies are just things extra, like video games or golf clubs, things like that, which you'll see in the future. So let's say as far as leisure items, you bought a movie ticket or something. So we're going to say $20 overall there in that first week. For hobbies, you spent, let's say, $50 on a new video game, and that's all you spent the entire time. And I do apologize. I want to apologize in advance for these page break lines. That's what those are. They were input as soon as I put in the footers for each page, so I didn't actually intend for them to show up, but there's no way to make them go away without taking away the footers, which are a functionality that's very important. So for vacations and trips, we'll say that we saved $20 a week. And then for restaurant, we'll say that you spent $15 on this day, and then you went out for a quick bite to eat at a fast food restaurant and spent $6 there. Now for cosmetics, I'm of course a male, so I'm not going to spend anything necessarily on cosmetics, but what we'll say is that can be skincare and things like that too, so acne medicine. So we'll go ahead and we'll put some in for that. We'll say $5 on a little bit of medicine there. So as you can see, it's auto-filled into the graph, everything that you it's kind of a quick overview look of how everything works there. So you see here in groceries, we were over budget from what we expected. From water bill, we were a little under budget. And from, say, the electric bill and the healthcare, we were over budget there. So it's a really nice way to look over everything, get a quick overview, and see very quickly what we went over and under budget on. And the same thing over here, you've put in all the values down there, so they've auto-filled up into this chart category up here. And you'll see which categories you went under budget and over budget on. You'll see the totals that you've spent and the difference between what you expected and what you actually spent right here in the difference category. So, on the monthly summary, you'll see the total income that you brought in of the expected and actual categories. And if that's positive, which it is this time around, it means you did a good job. And if it's in kind of brackets or quotations, it's going to be a negative number. It means you went over budget overall. So what I've done is I've went ahead and input information into each of the following. As you can see, month 2 and then month 3, all the information's been pre-put in, of course, for the purposes of time. And all the graphs and everything have been updated as well. One thing I want to point out down here is everything isn't going to be what you'd expect. So under household items right here, I've got a $200 charge. Well, you might remember what you spent $200 on, but $200 is an awful lot for a household item. So you can easily add a comment that tells you what was there. And in this case, we bought a couch for the house, so it was a higher charge. It was a good deal. And another thing under leisure items here, you bought some golf clubs. Okay. And then under hobbies, you bought some golf balls for the golf clubs, and that's where the difference comes in. Leisure items are more of the items used for a particular hobby, and then you buy the actual items for the hobbies under that category. What you'll find at the end of each of these categories is a spark line. We'll kind of zoom out a little bit here, but what you see is many categories aren't showing up, but you do see the top point. So you'll see that the biggest charge is going to be more on the far left. Well, you can scroll up and you can see, well, that's probably the rent or the groceries there. So it gives you just a quick look at the end of the page on where you spent the most money, whether it be toward the gift side of things or whether it be more the variable expenses. So to return to the main page here, we just clicked on the summary here, and now that we have more information on all of the spending logs and the budget allotted to each individual month, I can tell you more about the functionality of this first page. So what we have here is a total income, and under this, basically what we've taken are the numbers from each of these categories right here. What you actually brought in for all 6 months have been put into this category. And for the same thing, in the expensive category, we've taken the numbers from the total expenses of each month and we've put it in there. And it'll give you a difference between your income and expenses of how much you didn't budget towards anything or how much was not spent or things like that. So it's very intelligent, very good. Everything updates as it does. So all of these graphs right here, the numbers that you see are from these areas right here, and you can go in and actually see, well, series 1 point was the rent and the value is $2,127, a total of 47% of the total. So basically these numbers right here are the total numbers of all 6 months across the board. So for internet, you see a total of $300. That's just this $50 that you actually paid here across 6 months input into this category, and that follows along the board, and you see the monthly average across 6 months, which is just this number divided by the total of months that we allotted, which in this case was 6 months. So as you can see, it's very intelligent. Everything updates on its own and gives you kind of a quick look over everything that you need to budget and track your spending throughout the weeks and the months that you need to. One more little bit of functionality here is that I've put all these charts together under a single banner here, and you can see a very broad pie graph over everything. This is going to show you all the information you need in a total broad graph on a page of its own. So you'll see that 21% of your entire 6 months budget went towards rent, and 19% of your entire 6 months budget of this entire template went towards groceries, a value of $1,925. So overall, I think it's a very good template. It allows you to track your spending and it allows you to budget money in a way that allows you to save the most, get the most out of it, and keep track of everything so you never go into the negative side of things. So that was everything I have for you guys. I appreciate you watching, and if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down below. Thank you.